Welcome to the new stuff training for feature 15150, the Flow CNI, and feature 17028, Flow Network Security Support for Containers. Let's start with the challenge this new feature enhancement addresses. Enterprises are modernizing fast, adopting containers and Kubernetes alongside existing virtual machines. That's great for agility, but it creates a real operational headache. Two separate networking models to manage. Containers live in Kubernetes networking, VMs live in isolated VPC namespaces, and those worlds don't talk to each other natively. Because VMs are often in their own VPC networking namespace, customers end up running separate operational models for containers versus VMs. That means different tooling, different monitoring, and different change processes, which really slows down customer teams and gives you an increased risk. Equally as challenging, without network level integration, you can't apply unified security controls across the whole application stack. Policies that work for containers don't automatically cover VMs and vice versa. This results in inconsistent enforcement and the potential for gaps that undermine zero trust and microseg strategies. For security and operations teams, this translates to longer troubleshooting cycles, more manual work, and a higher chance of misconfiguration. For the business, it means slower deployments and greater exposure to threats. Hybrid environments promise flexibility, but separate networking models create complexity and security gaps. The fix is a unified networking approach that bridges Kubernetes, VMs, and bare metal so policies, telemetry, and controls are consistent across all workloads. That's the challenge, and it's one that every IT organization needs to solve for. Flow CNI is a Kubernetes native extension of Nutanix Flow Virtual Networking. It brings VPC-based networking to pods, so pod networking can use the same constructs as VMs. It supports both overlay and native networking modes and integrates with VM-based VPCs for consistent connectivity. The main benefits are unified network management across VMs and containers, reducing operational overhead, a simplified deployment via Helm or operator packaging for fast, repeatable installs, and a seamless NKP integration so existing Nutanix network components work with Kubernetes out of the box, with workload federation enabling direct pod to VM and cross VPC communications on the same overlay network, and ultimately enterprise-grade scale and observability aligned with Nutanix standards for monitoring, telemetry, and troubleshooting. This can really help change operations, deploy VMs and pods on the same VPC overlay network, eliminating separate networking stacks and reducing complexity. VMs and pods communicate natively using private IPs, removing many ingress and load balancer workarounds that you often have to take. You can map Kubernetes namespaces to isolated VPCs to enable true multi-tenant isolation with consistent policies. In closing, the Flow CNI makes hybrid deployments simpler, faster, and it delivers one unified control plane for networking across containers and VMs. Let's look at a quick overview of a common hybrid deployment and how Flow CNI ties it together. Here we have a three-tier application made up of front-end, middleware, and backend components. Our front-end runs in pods on Kubernetes, our middleware runs on virtual machines, and our backend database is hosted on a physical server. These three tiers are distributed across different workload types, but form a single application. So what does Flow CNI do? Flow CNI creates a unified networking and routing domain that connects pods, VMs, and physical servers together seamlessly. It removes the need for extra infrastructure like external load balancers or gateways by providing consistent connectivity, routing, and policy enforcement across all workload types. This matters because we're simplifying the topology. One network fabric for containers, VMs, and bare metal reduces the potential for configuration drift and operational complexity. With the consistent policies, security and routing rules apply uniformly, so microsegmentation and access controls behave the same across tiers. A single view of flows and telemetry across the entire application stack is also easier to troubleshoot and speeds up root cause analysis. Flow CNI integrates with existing Kubernetes and hypervisor environments without adding gateway appliances. It supports native pod networking while bridging VM and physical interfaces into the same routing domain. This is well suited for customers migrating parts of an application to containers while keeping other tiers on VMs or physical hosts. Let's look at how we enable this in Prism Central. Once the Kubernetes cluster is onboarded to Prism Central, select the Kubernetes cluster and perform the action Activate Nutanix Flow capabilities. Then you'll have to add the kube config of the Kubernetes cluster that you're using. Once you've activated the Flow capabilities, you can then configure your VPC to work with a Kubernetes cluster. In the VPC General Configuration section, select the box for containers. Then in the Container Networking section a little further down, you select Kubernetes cluster you want to associate with this VPC. You can also optionally label the Kubernetes node that you would like to house the gateway. It's important to note a VPC can only be associated with one Kubernetes cluster. Here are some things to know. With the Flow CNI in AOS 7.5, you can only associate one Kubernetes cluster per VPC. There are no new NCC checks. All the Flow CNI integrations use existing NCC health checks. And the next one's pretty important. Prism Central must be extra large. This is not optional. This is a requirement to be able to run this integration. Flow CNI lets you run a true hybrid 3-tier app, pods, VMs, and physical servers under one coherent network model, making the whole stack easier to manage. The required versions to be able to use the Flow CNI are AOS 7.5, Prism Central 7.5, deployed in an extra large capacity, the network controller 7.0.0, and the Flow CNI 1.0. Licensing required for this feature is NCI Pro plus NKP Starter. Hypervisor supported is AHV, and this can be deployed on any platform. Thank you for watching this new stuff training on the new Flow CNI.